Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. The Caps are back, baby. Hi, everyone.
Massive win. I was over that one. I was all over that one, though.
Let's start in old Indianapolis, though, where Adam Peters got to do his first full-on national media, dominated by local media, but national media press conference at the Combine. He didn't say a lot, but he said a few things, and we'll talk about that now.
Can I introduce to you what I'm going to do with Adam Peters after every press conference now?
Oh, no.
The aura rating.
See, sometimes being good-looking is hard. This is all you talk about is he's good-looking.
And aura's energy, too.
It'll last as long as they are not 7 and 10, though. I already know how this goes. The aura's gone if they're 6 and 11. I can promise you that.
But it's also how he speaks, too, and the energy. And I give it a solid 6 out of 10 today.
I think he's really good at saying nothing.
Yes, he didn't say
He's
jack.
actually, it's funny, he actually made mention of a couple of times in this that he wasn't used to doing this, I'm like, well, you learned from the best, though, because he's got a big smile on his face, and he says almost nothing. Almost nothing.
He also...
you have no idea what they're doing with the number 2 pick after today.
Oh, yeah, no.
None.
No. You also had him actually say out loud something that Ron and company never said was, oh, yeah, Sean didn't prepare me for that one, referencing Sean DeBarbery, who works over there as PR. And it's like, oh, wow, you guys are actually prepping for these things now.
They prepped for them.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's what I'm saying.
Poor Sean.
That's what I'm getting
Sean, this is too inside baseball. Sean and I have a couple of stories about that through the years.
Yeah, I'm not shocked.
Walking up from the field on a Friday where he's like, what's he going to say?
Right. But I'm going to go
that I definitely did not tell him to say.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. It seems a little more symbiotic between Sean and the new guys.
Listen, this isn't, we're not, this isn't the Pentagon, they act like it, but it's
sometimes you should treat it like the Pentagon.
Well, and in that case, Adam Peters did a good job. You don't know anything. I got zero insight into what they're going to do, except for one minor, and because we listened closely, one minor, I will call it a slip, which is you just have to listen closely and they will tell you the truth if you just listen closely. And it was about Sam Howell, not about what they're going to do with the number 2 overall pick. It's about Sam Howell. Mm-hmm. And on Sam Howell, the news of the day was he did meet with him. He described it as a walk around the park with him, that he does like him. And that they like him a lot and all that stuff.
Right.
And then, but it was a separate question where he was asked about Trey Lance. No, not Trey Lance. Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Yep.
Asked about Brock Purdy.
Yep.
And was asked, what do you make of that, basically? Yep. And I think it was kind of leading into how do you find that again?
Yes.
And he said, his line was, had we known he was going to be that good, he would have been picked higher than he was.
Yep.
And then after that, as a throwaway line, he goes, and I'm looking for a new quarterback again.
Yep.
And that's what everybody on Twitter went, bingo.
There it is. Yeah. Right.
Sorry, Sam.
Sure.
Because if you heard that one, then that's the giveaway. It's the number 2 overall pick.
Right.
Now, specifically on the number 2 overall pick, he gave you nothing.
Yep.
He said nothing about it, nothing about who he likes, what he would do with it. He even went so far, and this is the right thing to say, we're interviewing everybody at every position here. Not that they're going to use it on tight end at number 2, but you don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You don't know what they're going to be offered, especially because today, Ryan Poles, GM of the Bears, said, and he said what I think we all know was going to happen, sooner rather than later, we're going to make a decision about Justin Fields. And he even said, don't get this wrong, he's been in the loop the whole time. And he said his line was, we're not going to keep him, as he described it, in the gray. Nobody wants to be in the gray area.
Right.
Am I in, am I out? We're not going to do that to him. And described it as we're going to do right by him, which was also an interesting thing to hear because it almost made it sound like we're willing to hear out where you want to go.
That's right.
Atlanta, hint. Mm-hmm. He's from there. He follows Bijan Robinson now. Raheem Morris was very cagey today there about what they're going to do at quarterback. It said something about we're going to get a quarterback that goes well with our city. I mean, so... All right, I think we now that Peters gave up nothing. The Bears and the Falcons all but gave it up.
Playing footsie over there.
We're going to trade him because we'll go down to 8.
Yep.
They're going to have 8, 9, 2 more first-round picks probably in later years, and probably something else this year. They're going to be picking back-to-back 8, 9. That's no, not 8. They're going to trade Fields to Atlanta. They're going to trade Fields to Atlanta.
Yep.
They're probably going to get their second-round pick out of them.
Correct. Yep.
Then they're going to take Caleb at number 1 because they can't not take him.
That's
more
right.
and more and more I think about this, even if they like Daniels or May better, they can't take him.
They can't do it.
Because publicly, they're going to get killed. And if Williams does turn out to be the right guy or a great player, that guy's going to have to live with it for the rest of his life. He has to take whether his assessment of it is he's the best one or not, he has to take him. Because if he doesn't, and it goes wrong and they're wrong about it, he's the idiot of all time.
Right.
And if he's wrong about it but took him, at least he could say, I don't want you ever to forget. All of you said we should take him.
That's right.
Never forget that. Every person said, except for Kurt Benkert, who said, don't take him, take this guy.
Right.
Every person told us we should take him, and we did. Never forget it, even if Daniels becomes better than him. Never forget it.
Yep, exactly.
So on the Hal thing, was it a slip? No, probably not. I do think more than anything, I think what I got out of hearing him say it, it's a slip, which is kind of a truth tell, which is we're probably taking a quarterback at number 2. However, you should leave open the door after saying niceties about Sam Howell. And what I talked about yesterday on the show, I think he can play. I think in a different world, at a different pick, with a different staff, at a different point in time, I don't know if you wouldn't just say, if they were picking 12th, I would kind of be like, you know what? Let him go with Kingsbury.
Yep.
Give it a year.
Right.
He makes no money. He can play. Maybe they'll run the ball a little bit. Maybe they'll go get him a couple offensive linemen.
Not pass the ball 28 times in a row.
Maybe they'll go get a couple offensive linemen, help him out. And maybe just the whole scene change would be good for him.
Yeah.
But because they're picking second, because they're the caliber of quarterbacks that are available, because, it's a new staff, it's a scheme that I know Kingsbury don't want to be called the air raid, but it does really what he's worked with in the past are mobile quarterbacks. It screams that they're going to go into a different direction. But I did like hearing that, Peters is at least going, hey, we met with him. We're not down on him, because I'm not either. In a different world, in a different spot at a different point in time, I could see it. And for Sam, if he goes somewhere else, because if they get an offer that's, worthwhile, I think they need to consider it. If he goes somewhere else and he turns into Trent Green, Kirk, somebody who's come through here who turns out to have Stan Humphries, turns out to have a really good career, I will not be surprised at all. I think he can play. He just needs to be with any player and any coach in any situation. You got to be at the right place at the right time. Last year, Ron, in a lame duck season with the team being sold, spending no money in free agency, turning over everything to Bieniemy, and then just anointing him the starter and letting him get crushed week after week. Wrong place, wrong time for old Sam.
Well, not only that.
But I'd like to think that he's got a real shot to be good somewhere, because I saw it in more than just a couple of moments. I saw it for games. That thing that happened in Seattle, that thing that happened in Philadelphia, that's not a fluke. That guy knows how to play. So it's probably not going to be here. But if in 3 years he emerges as a very, very, very good quarterback, it will not surprise me for a second.
Not only that, on the quarterback thing, it looked even worse when Brissett stepped in and everything looked perfectly fine, too. So it was like a doubly bad evaluation on that one.
Well, Brissett also was like, I'm going to chuck it down the field. I'm not going to do whatever Bieniemy's telling me to do. I'm going to put it where I think it needs to go.
Well,
I think Sam's a good guy. Sam was doing what EB told him to do, to a fault. Brissett walked in there and went, you know what? I like that matchup over there. I like that matchup, which is what McLaurin was saying for weeks. He's like, you got to just throw it up to me on some of these plays and let me go make some plays.
He's down there somewhere play.
Brissett was like, I know the play's supposed to go here, but that guy's got one-on-one down there. I'm going to give him a shot. And then McLaurin had 100 yards in a minute.
a minute.
Yeah, he did. It was that Rams game, remember?
Yeah, it was a quarter, yeah.
Was it the Rams game or the Jets game? I think it was the Rams game,
both
right?
of them. I think both of them. He had
Where they put
yeah.
him in and it was like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
and he had
yeah.
100 yards.
Yeah.
Like, because he's got all these one-on-ones when nobody was throwing the ball to him.
That's right.
Because Hal was doing what EB told him to do, like to a T told him to do what he was doing.
So you're saying Hal needed to be a rebel. That's what you're saying.
This, again, was another reason why it was a bad spot. Like, Hal is very coachable. Hal listens to his coaches. Hal does what he's supposed to do, and the ball was going where it was supposed to go according to plan. And an older, more veteran quarterback who's been around the block a little bit more and has a little bit more cachet in the building might have been like, hey, EB, I'm going to do it this way. Aren't we here to win together? Like, there was no collaboration there. So, again, if Sam ends up somewhere else, because Adam Peters, the one thing he slipped on today was we got to find a new quarterback. Well, if he ends up being really good for somebody else, like, mark me down now, I'm not going to be surprised. Yeah. Like, is he going to end up being Drew Brees? I don't know. But, like, will he end up being a very good, like, that middle of the road can win quarterback? Yeah, I think so. I saw that last year in the limited amount of time he played. I saw it. I think he could be that.
Terry, 141 in that Rams game.
141 on the Rams.
Only had 50 in the Jets game.
141. It was probably all in the second half, right?
Sure it was. Yeah.
Had to have been. Yeah. All in the third quarter, or something like that.
For 141 in the touchdown.
Right. In a second. Yeah, I know. All right. So Peter said nothing else today. I'd play it for you, but he really didn't say anything else.
He said nothing.
He didn't say anything else. Subsequently, afterwards, he did say something that did make news today. They are not tagging Cam Curl.
Yep, I saw that too.
So but that didn't happen in the press conference. That must have happened with the local reporters.
Side scrum, yeah.
The side scrum. So he said there were two parts to it. He said they are talking to his representatives. So obviously they're interested in getting a deal done, but said they will not tag him. And in fact went on to say they're not going to tag anybody.
Yeah.
Not that I can name anybody else on the roster that they should actually tag. So there's the news on that one. They'd like to get something done with Cam. They probably want to know what the price is. And if they can come to terms on what they feel is a fair deal, it's going to be in the 10 to 15 million, somewhere in there.
Sure.
Then I think they'll get something done. And if they don't, then he's going to test the market, and then he's going to find out what he's worth.
Yep.
Now, if I'm him and his representatives, do you want to risk that because everybody got the stim pay last week of a cap that went
That's
up?
right. Everyone got the stimmies.
I think if you're a free agent this year, it's an interesting bet. You know, like, well, everybody got a little bit more money, so maybe there's just a little bit more money. It doesn't mean I can't leverage the Commanders to give me the deal I want by showing them what's on the open market, but it is the risk. They could go, have a nice career. Congratulations.
Yep.
Have a nice career. That's a possibility. I don't know how badly he wants to stay. That's the other part. I never got the sense he didn't want to be here. Like, last year is the telltale side of it. He's not playing for very much because he's a 7th-round pick on the last year of his contract. So he's not playing for very much. He showed up to work. He didn't skip any OTAs. He didn't, like, do the hold-in thing. He never did any of that stuff. He showed up, played hard, put his head down every time. And trust me, I'm in the locker room every day. Every time he was ever asked about it, he totally blew it off and just said, we'll talk about that next year. I'd like to be here, but business is business. I like the way he handled himself. He and Payne, both of them, the last 2 years. I like the way he was extremely professional last year, like extremely professional, and he is a very good player. His problem falls into the category of you don't make game-changing plays.
Right.
Everybody acknowledges you're a really good, smart player. Everybody acknowledges we want you on the team, but you don't get interceptions, you don't cause fumbles, you don't get sacks. Not that a safety should have a lot of those, but we don't get a lot of that from you. Is that the scheme? Is that the position you were asked to play? Or are you just a really good player who doesn't flip a game upside down?
Yep.
Because the guy who gets $15 million a year typically has 1 or 2 games where he causes a fumble or flips a game upside down. We haven't seen a lot of that from you.
Yeah, right. No. I mean, he had a couple of those plays, and he had the one return for a touchdown in his rookie year. But other than that,
that's 4 years ago now.
Yeah. He's forced a few fumbles here and there, but you're right.
Yeah.
It hasn't had to be the game-changing moment. No.
Very, like, everybody says the same thing about him. Just really smart player, knows what he's supposed to do, multiple position
Super
player.
Smart,
smart.
Fights
his guts out, tough. Very good tackler, doesn't miss tackles. We had a lot of that last year.
He's really good.
Boy, we had that last year with Percy Butler with the missed tackles.
Yep.
We don't have that with Cam.
Correct.
Like, you don't have that with him. He has missed some time the last couple of years. So, you know, durability really matters, like clearly really matters. They name-checked Quan Martin, so they like him. And I think when they get a good look at Derek Forrest, they're going to like him too, because he falls into that category of like the Quinn and Witt talk about. Like, we want you to play fast and violent, and that is what I love about Forrest. He plays fast and violent. He had that crazy hit in the Jacksonville game where he like tore ETN in half. Like he had that. He plays real. His rookie year, I laughed. He was like a bullet running the wrong way. Like he didn't know where he was going, but he was flashing. And then he figured it out. And that second year, remember, he was all over the place. He was one of the best players on the defense that ended up ascending up to the 3rd overall ranking. I think they missed him last year, like badly. When he got hurt and went out, I don't think he would have changed much of it because their defense was just god-awful bad. But they missed him, and they're going to like him. So they're in an interesting spot there where they have a decision to make. Forrest comes back, assuming healthy. They really like Quan. He's on a rookie contract. Do you want to pay Cam $13, $14, $15 million a year when he's a very, very, very good player who doesn't get turnovers? That said, now we're with the king of turnovers now, Dan Quinn and Joe Witt.
Like if they can unlock something, essentially.
I don't know what their trick is, but it's worked for years.
Right. Exactly.
And this is why I look at Emmanuel Forbes and I go, we're going to find out about you real fast. Because if you don't have 6 or more interceptions next year, you're actually going to be the exception to their rule.
Right, exactly.
Because everybody else who can catch a ball, and that's the reason why you were drafted, you're fast and you can catch it. And you have good instincts. That's why they drafted him that high. If he doesn't end up with 6 or more interceptions, something's actually wrong. Because that's what they have figured out with every... Name the corner. Deron Bland was a 5th-round pick. He had more pick sixes than anybody in league history in a single season last year.
Exactly.
The year before, Trayvon Diggs broke a Cowboys record for interceptions in a single season. Over and over with Atlanta, they were at or near the top in turnovers generated. Forbes better do that for them. And in the case of Curl, maybe that is what happens with him. That like he's not just a good player, but he has the opportunity to make those plays more often in this defense, and they have to make that decision.
They, you remember for like 2 months there, we had a lot of Buffalo nickel talk.
Yeah,
which was just like so ridiculous looking back on because it was nothing essentially.
That's a real position.
I know, but like
there's
talk,
other teams that play it.
The talk though was
we had a lot of buzzwords that people got sick of. Catch radius. That one got me. Catch radius. Position flex.
Oh, God. Just stop.
I even got to the point where I'm like, can this guy just be a tackle?
Yeah, right.
Like, why does he have to be able to play
do
everything?
One job well instead of
just
two half-assed.
Do that.
But I would ask this question, scheme-wise with them is, if you have Cam Curl, you have Defoe, and then you have Quan Martin, they seem to be what I like to say chaos agents. Like, it seems they would be able to figure it out with those 3 guys on the field at the same time. It's not the worst thing in the world to have guys that can do a bunch of different things with coaches that I know what they're doing too. That's the other difference here. So I would rather have more of those players than less of them, but I totally get it if they don't, end up reaching out on a number that ends up working for them. So
the other thing that Adam Peters talked about that just stood out to me, and this is probably not unusual, but I actually don't remember anybody literally talking about it. And I thought it was just really interesting because here is a group of coaches that largely have not worked together before.
Yes.
Which I think is unusual. Yep. Like Adam Peters has never actually worked with some of the people in his front office that he hired, which is unusual.
Sure.
Even though I think he called Lance Newmark his North Star.
Yes. Yeah. That's what he said. Yes.
Even though he's never worked with him before. He basically said he's just become very, very close to him and respects him for his evaluations and everything. And they became very close. So that obviously makes a lot of sense now that like apparently he's like his best friend or something. And so like whatever. Great. So like, great. And the Lions are killing it in the draft. So like great.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not like there's been like crossing of those rosters either. Like it's not like 49ers players are going there or Lions players are going there. So it seems to be fairly clean between the two. And then they did play each other. The organizations did play each other, but anyways.
But Peters hasn't worked with Quinn before. First time.
Right.
So Quinn has worked with Witt, obviously. But like Witt also hasn't worked with Peters. Some of the defensive staff came from other places. Darryl Tapp came from San Francisco. Ken Norton, has been around the block. He worked with Dan before. I can't remember who was in the secondary. That's new. Obviously, on offense, none of them have worked with Kingsbury or Brian Johnson or Anthony Lynn. Like, it's all kind of new, right? It's all kind of new coming in here. And he described this, and this is what I want. This is the content I'd live for. They had recently with all their coaches what they call profile day. And he talked about this, which I'm sure every team does this. But in this case, I think it's so interesting because none of these people have actually worked together before to actually sit in the room and have Kingsbury go, this is actually the kind of running back I'm looking for.
Yep.
These are the guards that I'd like to have. These are the receivers I'd like to have. I'd like to have Caleb Williams, please. Like the defense, same thing for Dan Quinn to say to Dan Quinn and for Peters to sit there and go, okay, what do you want your linebacker to be able to do?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And they come in and bring tape of, I assume, existing players in the league. Well, I'm sure everybody's like, I'd like Travis Kelce. Yeah, I bet you would.
Of course.
But like
realistically,
it'd be interesting if they're like, okay, Foye Oluokun.
Yep.
This is and this is why. This is the type of linebacker that fits in our system. I would die to sit in that room and hear them explain who they want. And it isn't like try to get this person. It's these are the skill sets of these particular players that we're looking for. When you go into free agency and you go into the draft, this is what we're looking for. And I loved hearing him say this. This Adam Peters guy, I think his strength is collaboration, actually. Is he a great evaluator? He must be, right? On some level, he must be.
Collaboration aura.
Think about that, though, for a second. He has not walked in here and said, I have all the answers.
That's right. Yep.
He's walked in here saying, I want to work with a lot of smart people that are going to help me come to the right conclusions, which is, I don't pretend to have all the answers here. I'm not walking in here saying, I'm going to build you a roster that will win a Super Bowl in X amount of years because I know what I'm doing. He's bringing in people he's never worked with before, based mainly on reputation, and said, I want to work with these people because I know what their reputation is. And then one of my first orders of business is I want to sit down with them and find out who are the types of players they want so that I can make the right decisions on their behalf.
Right.
Like, I may like this linebacker more than that linebacker, but this linebacker that I like isn't going to fit in their scheme because they want someone who's a little bit smaller, a little bit faster, a little has better hands here. And I love it. Like, I would die to see that just to hear Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury sit there and go, these are the types of players, the specific things that they want. It would be great. But second, for Peters to admit that we're having everybody in here to tell us what we should be looking for to help inform me picking the players, I actually think that might end up being, if this is how it works out, then that's going to be amazing. Well, because most of the time the GM walks in and goes, I'm going to make the decisions on the behalf and the coaches are going to coach the players. He's doing this backwards. He's saying, I want the coaches to come to me. I can't get everybody that they want, and I'm going to get them the best talent I can, but at least I know what they're looking for, so I'm going to start looking for that on behalf of them. I love it. I love hearing it. I love it.
The other half of that, I would say, too, is there were shades of Joe Gibbs in that presser, too, where he said, I want to evaluate guys on their personality and how they fit in and character guys.
Yes.
And he said that's where people make mistakes, is that they see a guy on film or they evaluate a guy and he looks really good, but then you sit down with the player and
Albert Hainsworth was an amazing athlete.
That's right. But he was a complete you-know-what.
That's right.
And I like that he reiterated
that.
And
this is why you should not negotiate with somebody like that in 60 seconds for $100 million.
That's right. And I would say, though, too, like, we're seeing shades of it now. Like, go look at how the Eagles went sideways up there this year. Like, I'm sure it wasn't just A.J. Brown being the guy that he is. It had to be more than that. And so I liked hearing that from him, too, that the character matters. Like, it seems like there's shades of the old school Redskins there, where Gibbs said this time and time and over again, where he said it was just as important to evaluate the player's personality than it was on their on-film stuff. So, yeah, I mean, he was hitting all the right notes for me. Not that he revealed anything, but he hit all the right notes for it.
Yeah, no, I love that, too. Gibbs used to talk about this all the time. He mentioned it all the time. He goes, you're picking people. It's the hardest part of the whole thing.
Yes, right.
And he would often go on about it and go, they have to love football. That was his line. They have to love football. Like, they had to really, really, really want to be in it, which is back to A.J. Brown. He does.
Yeah, right.
Like, he might be, tough to deal with, but, like, I believe him when he says, I'm just doing this out of passion. It's not out of anything else.
Totally, 100%.
So, like, I
want the same thing. Like,
I want guys on my team like him.
Yeah, right.
I want guys on my, like, he's competing hard. He actually wants to be the best. He wants to be good. He thinks he can help you win. Yeah. Maybe it's misplaced every once, like when you're up on Tampa Bay by 14 points in the third quarter and you're demanding the ball, maybe you need to, like, get checked a little bit here. But it's all out of, I think I can help us win. Give me the ball. And every time I watch him, I go, yeah, you should give that guy the ball. He's a top 5 receiver in the NFL, and if they do something stupid like let him go, they're not going to replace him.
That's right. Yeah.
He's been the difference, in my opinion, for them over the last couple of on offense at least. Anyway, I did like that. I love this collaborative nature, and the profile day thing was the thing I loved. And God, I wish I had an invitation to that. I would have loved to have sat in the room and heard Dan Quinn and Joe Witt and Cliff Kingsbury show me exactly the skill sets they're looking for in people that will help them succeed. Yeah. That would have been amazing. All right, I want to get back to Hal after the break. Bram, watch the show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. All right, let me go back to the Sam Howell conversation for a moment. I think they're picking a quarterback at number 2 unless they don't fall in love with Drake May or Jaden Daniels, and they do decide to trade down because they get an overwhelming offer. I think that is probably not the scenario that plays out here. And the minor slip of Adam Peters today, we're looking for a new quarterback, I think he's going to hear about it now. Sean didn't prep you for that one. So, but he did meet with Sam Howell. Yeah. He said he had a nice walk around the park with him.
So they went on a walk together. Said he does like him. I think there is a lot to like. I am of the camp of I'm not in any rush to trade him because I think bare minimum he's a valuable backup, if not more than that. And I do think that there's possibility if he lands somewhere else that there's an opening for him if he gets the opportunity again. I think he can play. He's making no money as a 5th-round pick. He's got 2 years left on his contract. You got to give me something valuable to want to trade him. But there is a complication, and it's Drake May. And you're going to hear it here. In fact, Drake May admits it in this interview. He was on with Adam Schefter on his podcast, and this is about a 2-minute clip. Yep.
Take a listen to this where he talks specifically about Washington and Sam Howell.
Now, what kind of relationship do you have with another former North Carolina quarterback, Sam Howell, who also plays in Washington right now?
No doubt, one of my best friends. Sam has had a big impact on me learning, going in there my freshman year in North Carolina, true freshman year, and his being his last year, and such had such great success, and just seeing how he prepared, how seriously he took, and wasn't necessarily a culture shock, but just a kind of shift from playing all sports growing up throughout high school, just focusing on one sport and how he handled that and how he took care of his body and worked hard in the weight room. It was awesome to see him and sit behind him that 1 year, and it's like kind of paid off. Big jumps for me. That's not the right word, but pay off big dividends. Yeah, for me in my next 2 years.
There you go.
Exactly.
There's that North Carolina education there, right there, Drake.
Big dividends for my next 2 years at Carolina. So I'll still keep in touch with him and see him. Almost. He was just in Chapel Hill the other weekend for the Duke game. We were up there together and playing golf. So I'm a big fan of Sam, and we keep in touch. Almost daily.
Well, how much conversation have you had about the prospect that you could wind up in Washington with him?
Yeah, I think it's part of it. I think it's one of those things where it's not ideal, but at the same time, it's part of a business. We've done it, in college together, and I think the best thing about it, we'll help each other, and whether the scenario goes. She was one of my best friends. Gonna be no hard feelings. It's part of it, and and being in there as 2 NFL quarterbacks, being in the same room is not, too bad of problems. A lot bigger problems out there in the world than, having to deal with that.
But you said it's not ideal to be basically in a quarterback room with one of your better friends, somebody that you know as well as you do, just because of the history that you have. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily ideal, but I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, you don't really plan it out. Like growing up, talking about it in college, with Sam, and it's not really what we pictured, being in the same, competing against each other. But at the same time, we always thought about we were playing against each other and stuff, and having, shootout games. But hey, it's a possibility that could happen, and we know that, and it's not, nothing that's, we're not, shying away from. And so, what happens. I think, God's got a plan, and whatever happens, shapes out, we'll be ready for it.
Would be wild, though, to think that 2 quarterbacks that were together for 1 year in North Carolina all of a sudden wind up together then in Washington under a new regime. We'll see how that all plays out.
All right, let me clear this up for you if you couldn't figure it out from hearing that. Not ideal is a very good way to put it.
Yep.
And I'll just say it, I had heard if that's the direction they're going to go, they're going to have to move Hal because it's not going to be tenable.
Yep.
Right. And not because, for all the reasons he actually said, they are actually close friends. Like it wouldn't be, but just think about the human nature part of this. If we're going to start thinking about people here for a moment, you just had your job taken by the guy who you're friends with, who you helped groom at North Carolina. And then let's just say things don't go well for him. Like he's a rookie.
Yeah, right.
And let's just say Cliff says, all right, you're starting week 1. And it doesn't go well for a couple of weeks because he's a rookie and he makes mistakes. It throws a bunch of interceptions. And they decide they've got to put Hal in.
That's right. Yep. Right.
How uncomfortable is that going to be?
Yeah.
Meantime, Hal does have value on the market. I don't know what, and I'm not trading him for a 5th round pick, but if the Jets come at me, like Ralph Vacchiano reported, with a high 3rd, and I do select Drake May to solve the problem, I'm taking the high 3rd and then signing a veteran backup to be the backup quarterback to my rookie. And in fact, I would argue if you're going to get a rookie quarterback in here, I would rather have a backup who's been around the block a number of times that knows he isn't going to supplant this guy, but hopefully a Jacoby Brissett.
Yep, correct.
I need Jacoby Brissett back at that point. You know what the score is? We're going to pay you a premium because you're a veteran, you're a backup, but we want you to mentor and tutor this kid. And, Brissett probably didn't like what happened last year and probably isn't going to be back, but he fits the profile of exactly what we need. If we're gonna draft Jaden Daniels or Drake May, he kind of fits the profile of exactly who we need.
Yeah, right.
Not Hal,
no,
actually.
Exactly right. And I mean, it's also human nature too. Like you like to compete against each other, but it makes it a little harder to compete when your best friend is the guy either in front of you or behind you.
I don't think it's tenable.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's tenable. So now, if they don't select Drake May, well, that's a different story. And maybe Peters not only met with Hal just to talk to him and get to know him a little bit, but partially because he knows it isn't going to be a problem because we're not going to select him.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, I don't know which way they're going to go. If I had to take a guess right now, they're going with the mobile quarterback.
Yep.
Not that May isn't, but he ain't that.
Yes.
He's not Williams, and he's definitely not Daniels. So I think if they're going in that direction, I think I'm more inclined to believe that Jaden Daniels is their pick right now. But, let's see how it goes. And like they said, and I agree with this, they said, that was another thing Peter said today. He hasn't met any of them yet.
That's right. Yep.
And, so until he meets them, talks to them, I think it's hard to know exactly which way they're going to go. Same thing goes with profile day. What does Cliff and Brian Johnson want in a quarterback?
Sure.
What does Cliff want?
Mm-hmm.
Does he want somebody like Daniels? Does he think he can exploit that? Or does he look at it now and go, I know everybody thinks I'm Kyler Murray or bust, but I actually would like to have a pocket quarterback because this is why I think my offense would work with the next Justin Herbert or whatever you think Drake May is. So we don't know how, really now, after hearing Peters today, I need to know what Kingsbury wants in a quarterback.
That's right.
And you'd have a better, because it sounds like Peters is open to tell me the skill set you want. We all see the talent here. Tell me what you think works for you because that's the object. I'm not going to just pick somebody and put him in front of you. If it's Caleb Williams, it might be the case. But that being said, Kingsbury just worked with him for a year.
Yep. Right.
So I don't think it's going to be too hard to make that transition. I don't think we're getting him, but let's just see how it plays out. If it's me right now, and I've watched a lot of Daniel. I keep feeling like we're taking him. You want me to tell you the thing that really excites me about him? So what really excites me about him is when he vacates the pocket, he has this burst that is hard to describe. Like he goes 0 to 60 real fast, like super, like almost like he's shot out of a cannon. Like he hits the first couple of steps, he hits a speed that's unusual. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's going to be seen when he does a pro day, when he runs, if you're going to be able to see it, where he kind of has this, he hits like a very high speed at a very fast clip. The other guy who does this
0 to 20 kind
the
of
0
aspect,
he's got like, Lamar is really elusive, and then he picks up speed as he goes.
Yep,
and then he gets real fast.
Yeah,
right?
right.
I think Fields might be the same. I have to watch Fields, but when this guy Daniels, when he vacates the pocket, I think Kyler might be this way too, actually. He's like very quick, almost like Iverson, like real quick, shifty quick.
Well, That was like what Mike Vick used to do. In the first 10 yards, Vick could make you look like a freaking idiot. And if you didn't
because he'd get up 0 to 20 fast.
Yeah, and then like
he's super fast.
If you got past those 10 yards with a full head of steam, you were cooked essentially.
Yes.
Like that's what it sounds like you're describing.
Yeah, the more I keep watching him, I see this kind of 0 to 10, 0 to 20 speed that's very unusual. He gets like, when he leaves the pocket, it's quick, like a pinball machine, like fired out, you know? And that's very exciting. I'm still worried about the hits that he takes.
Sure.
I'm hoping that's an instinct problem that worries me. But more and more and more and more.
Going to go into they draft him. There's going to be a nice training camp drill about sliding again.
After today, it's hard to envision a path by which they don't take a quarterback.
Right.
But I guess they need to be open-minded to, if the Bears, as Ryan Pohl said today, will make a decision on Justin Fields very soon. And we all think they're going to trade him, right? Except for Peter King, who... And out on his retirement, his hot take was he doesn't think they're going. He thinks they're going to trade the pick.
Yeah, right.
That's what he thinks they're going to do.
On the other side,
I
too,
don't believe that.
On the other
that's
side,
what he thinks.
On the other side, too, Peters did say, "I just need to find a new quarterback." He didn't say draft a new quarterback. I mean, there is a distinction there. Like
but that felt like a slip of
I agree.
where
I agree. But
I think it depends who. The more I think about it now, like, if Hal's not going to be in line to potentially start, and the only way that happens is they trade out of number 2. Mm-hmm. And they, let's just say Atlanta doesn't get Fields. They want to move up. We take 8 because we can get a tackle at 8.
Right.
And we get whatever else the assets are with it. And then we're kicking the can down the road. Are we taking Penix in the second round or something like that?
Right.
Because I don't think anyone else of that caliber is going to be there. Does he think that there's an underrated quarterback they can get later to compete with Hal? Is it just worth it because we have so many holes? We just want to get all of these different assets. Like, I don't think that's what they're going to do, but it's a possibility. If the Bears trade Fields and they make it clear they're selecting Caleb Williams, well, then we're the ones who are going to get the phone calls, and we'll have to just see what it is. And whoever didn't get Fields is going to be on the horn with us to try to do something about it. So we'll have to see how that goes. But the more I think about it, like, if they do select somebody at number 2, I think they should trade Hal if they get a real offer for him, because I would rather have a veteran backup behind, let's just say it's Jaden Daniels. I'd rather have a veteran backup behind him, mentoring him, tutoring him, being in his ear, coach on the field, like a Jacoby Brissett. I would rather have that.
Yeah.
Because we're not trying to get Hal ready for a future date any longer. The object is to get Jaden Daniels to be your star quarterback for the next 10 years. Like, that's the object there. If we don't do that, if we take Drake May, I don't think that they can coexist. And I think May kind of said that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Not that he doesn't love the guy and doesn't want to be buddies with him, but it's just going to be weird.
Well, it feels like
their friendship's going to be messed up. It's going to be weird.
Yeah.
And you know what? Why would Hal want to be part of that? Like, he's like, if this guy screws up and I take his place, it's going to get really weird.
Well, no one ever says to their best friend, "Can't wait till we're on the same team together."
No.
Not a single guy that plays football, unless, they're one's an offensive player, one's a defensive player. Not a single guy who plays the same position goes, "Can't wait till we're on the same team and one of us is the backup and one of us is the starter."
Honestly, if that is real, that the Jets are willing to offer something as high as a third-round pick, and it'd be a high third because they didn't make the playoffs, a high third-round pick for Sam Howell, it would signal exactly what we're doing, but who cares?
Right.
So we're taking Jaden Daniels. Deal with it.
Right, exactly.
And if someone wants to jump us and go to the Bears and take Jaden Daniels, we'll take Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, of course.
All right, be right back. Very much the show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital. Did you see the end of the Knicks-Pistons game last night?
No.
Did you see the clip
why
of
would
this?
I see that?
Oh, it's amazing. It's like helter-skelter for the last 20 seconds of it. The Pistons lead by 1 in the Garden with 30 seconds left.
Okay.
Knicks have the ball. And then it's Keystone Cops. Like, turnover, crazy missed shot, second turnover. All this happens in the Pistons front court. Knicks turn the ball over. Pistons turn the ball over. Egregious miscall. Like, egregious bad miscall on the Knicks. So much so that the referees apologized to Monty Williams and said, "We screwed up." And then helter-skelter, ball all over the place. Inside pass, Josh Hart scores and is fouled with 3 seconds left. Knicks win by, I think they won by 2. It's worth seeing it. It's crazy. And Breen's on the call because it's the Knicks at home.
Right.
So you get the Breen call at the end. Yeah, I mean, these days, getting a Knicks-Pistons game with Breen on it, that's like a gift from God.
For sure. Yep, right.
Like, he walked into the stadium that day thinking the score was going to be 130-72. And they had what was a crazy finish, but it was crazy. Monty Williams, the best part is you got to watch the clip a couple times because after this, there's a foul in like right on the sideline near midcourt on a loose ball where I think it was Dante DiVincenzo like undercuts a Pistons player and like it's so clearly a foul. And then in the background, you see Monty Williams like almost run across the court like, what are you doing? and they had to apologize to him. It doesn't matter though. Like they'll never change an outcome
of course
ever.
Not. No, of course not.
And the Knicks won last night. It was a great finish. Great viral clip for your viewing pleasure on X. Viewing pleasure if you want to check that out.
Check it out. Yes, for sure.
Let's see. Nevada, there's now multiple groups trying to block the A's.
Good. Yes.
From getting that stadium.
Yes.
There's like a teachers union that's part of it.
Well, they sued because they were apparently told by Nevada there was no money to help the teachers out. And then...
Well, there isn't.
Well, but...
There's money to help the baseball team out.
I think they were saying
you could do this about anything, though. That's not going to fly. I'm no lawyer, but that's not going to fly. Like you could say, well, we also don't have money for the farmers.
Well,
then.
my guess is they probably use some kind of verbiage that the teachers are like, oh, you slipped up there, and we're all teachers, we can all read. So that's probably why there's some kind of case there.
You know what though? 30,000 people don't go to third grade math classes. So
know.
I hate
Vegas
to break
is
it to
booming.
you.
You don't know how many kids are there.
Nobody's going to go there to check that out. To go what? Boo the kids?
Mathletes.
I really want this to fail because I actually think Vegas will get an expansion team.
Bryce Harper said it out loud that they want an expansion team more than the A's.
The people who want this to fail the most are the people in Nashville, Salt Lake City, Montreal, Charlotte, because it's already out there that baseball wants to add 2 more teams.
Yes.
They need Vegas to be off the table.
That's right.
Because Vegas will definitively get one.
Right.
If they're on the table, which limits those other markets. If Vegas gets the A's, they're all actually rooting for the A's to go there.
That's right.
Once that goes off the table, then there's more of a chance that they're going to get the team. So those Nashville people, John Angelos, could actually throw their hat in the ring.
Oh, ew, that would be gross if that happened.
But me personally, I do want this to fail. I want them to be forced to go back to Oakland in some way and forced to figure it out. And hopefully the guy who owns the team sells it so that they can get somebody in there that reinvests and tries to figure out how to work with the city again and put a new stadium somewhere.
Well, no, I think that would they can't force a sale, but John Fisher, it's becoming more and more apparent he actually doesn't even know what he's doing. Have you heard about the reports from them about the actual move?
No.
There's paperwork you have to file. There's payments you need to make. And apparently the sources inside the A's, I read a piece about this like a month ago, they don't know how to do it. So they're getting ready to move, and they have no idea what the process is and haven't even really gotten the process off the ground.
Oh.
So Fisher doesn't even know what he's doing in moving the actual team.
That seems apparent.
Well, but it's like...
I think you do this when it's done, and the mayor of the city said they doesn't want it.
But what I'm getting at is Fisher hasn't even filed the paperwork to do so.
Oh,
they don't even know how to do it.
So this is going to fall through.
Yeah, 100%. I think actually...
And then what? They're going to be nomads because...
Well,
what?
I think what's going to happen is I think Manfred, because of the incompetence here, Manfred might actually just have to literally tell him you need to sell the team. Because also...
They may do what they do with Montreal, just take it over for a period of time.
Well, it's also coming apparent, too. Like, that Oakland mayor, remember, she came out and said, we negotiated in good faith every step of the way. As soon as they announced the Vegas move, we pitched to them again the smaller stadium by the Metro or whatever they've been pitching for years, and they got nothing back. She was like... We had no idea moving was going to even be on the table, but we've negotiated in good faith with a very fair deal. And in fact, I think they even said
he just wants to go to Vegas. Well, that's what that is.
I think her pitch too was like, our deal's better than Vegas's deal, and you don't even want to hear it.
Yeah,
so
he just wants to move there.
There's legitimate.
That's what it is. He wants to go to that market.
Well, it's legitimate questions though. Does he know what he's doing too, though? And that's never good when that's going down the pipeline. So
let's see. Beat up Caps win last night. Beat Ottawa 6-3. Mm-hmm. Have to turn around tonight. Play Detroit. That's a big one because they're ahead of us in the standings, and we're trying to catch everybody.
That's correct. Yes.
But the Caps are suddenly hot. Correct. So good.
They've won 4 of 5. They did it all secondary scoring last night. Hendricks Lapierre, 2 goals in like 10 minutes after not playing.
McMichael had a
all.
multi-point game again, right?
McMichael was good. Protas was MVP last night, though. Protas is on another level right now. He scored a goal, had a ton of assists.
Where would we be had they done what I told them to do 2 years ago and start playing these guys then when we weren't in the situation where everybody was a decrepit jalopy?
I will push back. I'll push back on this. I largely agree with what you're saying there, but all those guys were on the Hershey Bears team last year that won the Calder Cup, and there's some seasoning that happened there.
I want no
Whether you
offense
like it-
to the Hershey Bears or the Calder Cup, but we needed them to play in the NHL earlier. And if that means we don't win the Calder Cup, I'm okay with that. Sorry, Hershey,
The seasoning
Pennsylvania.
happened, though, over the summer is what I'm getting at here. They all took a step above because they were all playing with
Okay.
each other. I will push back on that argument a little bit. Because
A little bit. You know I'm right, though. I was
Sure, but-
saying this 2 years ago. We're getting too old. We're being too loyal. We need to turn the page a little bit, or it's going to be a traveling record-breaking circus that doesn't make the playoffs. And that's exactly what they've been. And now all of a sudden these guys are playing. Oh, what a revelation. We have good young players that can skate and play.
The problem is
finally.
The problem is old Petey Loves was not the coach to do that with, and you know it.
That's fine.
That's the other problem.
And now we got old open-minded Carbs who's trying to thread the needle. And you know what? Like, I'll keep reiterating. I think this guy's done a great job, all things considered, and it keeps getting harder on him because he keeps losing players now.
Correct. Well, they've lost like a player a game. They didn't lose one last night, and I forget who got called up the other night. It was they have a French player that just got called up, and he only played like 2 shifts. And Carberry actually on Saturday had good reasoning. Like Peter Laviolette last year, if he didn't play a kid, like Connor McMichael only gets 5 minutes of ice time, Peter Laviolette would just say, "Oh, well, that's just what happens." Carberry has actually gone out of his way when a guy doesn't get a lot of ice time, will literally say out loud, yeah, situationally, I didn't want to put him in that position, or there was a lot of special teams, or the game was close and he's really young and I didn't want to screw it. I didn't want him to screw up out there. Like, he has said out loud why some of these guys only get a certain amount of ice time, and that's why I like him too, because his communication seems to be better than
I love
the
this
last
dude.
3 coaches they've had. Essentially.
I love
So,
this dude. I love him. I am crazy for Carbs. I love him.
Crazy for
I love him.
The other part of what's happening now too is the power play is just clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Finally, I mean, it's taken 57 games for it to happen, but they're scoring at a good clip on the power play.
Good.
They scored 6 goals last night, and Alex Ovechkin didn't have a goal. Like,
Good.
that's a recipe for success. That's all I'm saying.
It's a big turnaround tonight. This is on the road, right?
Yeah, they had to fly out after the game last night. So I
This
mean,
is a tough turnaround.
yeah, I mean, I don't feel good about this game, but crazier things have happened.
Eke one out, baby. Give me 3-2. Come on, eke one out.
Well, and look what Carberry did last night. They did play your boy Kemper in net,
Uh-huh.
and he wasn't good, but they scored 6 goals. So, like, that's the thinking there is you play Lindgren tonight, hope it's close. Lindgren can steal one on the road for you. So that would be the hope is what's
Detroit
happening.
had a night off, too, so they're going to be
Yes.
rested.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing is that I would say, Yield Kapland over there out in, where are they at now? Virginia. I would start hyping up Friday's
Yes,
game.
Virginia. Say it again. Virginia.
They've always practiced, well, not always, but they've practiced in Virginia for 20 years now.
Something like that.
Friday night's game is massive upcoming here. They're playing the Flyers on a Friday night, who are ahead of them in the standings, who they could actually catch now. They're so hot, they can catch the Flyers in the standings. Guys, I need you to do some marketing here. I need you to get the word out that, like, the Caps are trying to push it to the playoffs. Get people to show up to the game on Friday night. Because last night there weren't a lot of people there. I get it. It's Ottawa on a Tuesday. That's literally one that we joke about all the time. But Friday, there's no excuse for fans to show up. Like, you gotta, I think, get the word out here that this team is hot and trying to push to the playoffs, and that's a team ahead of them. Who doesn't want to go see the Caps Flyers on a Friday night in a game that actually matters? I would hope the people over there get the gears turning a little bit on that one.
Just one correction. Last night was a Monday, not a Tuesday.
sorry,
Today
sorry,
is
sorry,
Tuesday.
yeah.
I just
My
don't want you to
schedule's
get
all screwed up, too.
get you.
Yeah.
Should get your
You know
head
how
out-
this
yeah.
goes. When there's a bunch of games in a row, you just don't know what day it is at this point.
That's
But
true. All right, we'll get you more news from the Combine. There was a lot of it next. Brad Washington Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. Let's see. Here's how Pro Football Talk is characterizing Adam Peters' discussion of Sam Howell earlier, where he said he really likes him, met with him, took a walk with him, got to know him a little bit. No decisions have been made, and that they really like him. But in a subsequent question, admitted the team needs to get a new quarterback, which felt more like a slip than anything.
Yeah, right.
So let's see if Pro Football Talk picked up on the slip or not.
Probably not.
Let's see. He said this. selecting the quarterback as a roll of the dice. He said, if I knew the answer, I'd be somewhere else retired, saying how uncertainty of how a quarterback is going to develop. He said, I think the gist of it is people evaluating people, which is a Gibbs thing, and especially when it comes to that position, there's so much more that goes into it besides the tape. And then he talked about, Brock Purdy a little bit. He's like, doesn't matter where you pick him, that's how it goes.
Yep.
Then they asked him specifically, he mentions the Cliff Kingsbury, Caleb Williams connection because they worked together at USC. And he did the right thing by saying, we have talked about quarterback play in general and what he looks for in a quarterback and what we can find in terms of a right fit for him, if that's what we're going to do, but didn't specifically talk about Caleb Williams.
Okay.
Asked about just in general, he said, certainly we haven't decided by any stretch of the imagination what we're going to do. We have a lot of work to do. He goes, we like what we have in Sam right now, so we're really excited about that too. So they let the slip go. They let it go. They let the line go. We're looking for a new quarterback. Good. Sean will be happy about that.
Well,
they let that
until
one go.
he has a follow-up article tomorrow and realizes once he goes through all the local media tweets that he missed that one. Because that's what happens all the time with Mike over there.
Caught that one.
Yeah.
Let's do some other news from the Combine. There's a lot of it today. Let's see. Here's what I've seen so far. I'll reiterate. Ryan Poles, the GM of the Bears, said that the team has been in communication every step of the way with Justin Fields and told the media today that he doesn't want someone to live in a gray area, that they need to have an answer to what they're going to do, that they're working with Fields, that he even went so far as to say, if we decide to trade him, we're going to try to accommodate him. Wink, wink, wink. That's probably wherever he wants to go. Wink, wink, wink. Look at his Instagram. That's Atlanta.
Right.
So, and wink, wink, wink. I think Atlanta wants him.
Right.
I think he does. I think they do. Raheem Morris did an interview today, the new coach there, and described that they've gone out of their way to admit Desmond Ritter's done. Like they've gone out of their way to say we need to find a quarterback. And Raheem Morris went so far as to say, find one that kind of fits like the city.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is that someone whose hometown is? What is that? Is that they liked Michael Vick? We want somebody who does Michael Vick things? Like what is that? Because Michael Vick and Matt Ryan are very popular people that did very different things. Like, well, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Was he insinuating they want a guy from there in Fields? Like, well, I didn't quite understand what he meant by that.
You want a black quarterback? I mean, like,
correct.
Like, I think
is that what you're saying?
I think we can say that out loud. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't think they had a problem with Matt Ryan as their quarterback because he was good.
Right. Exactly.
I think you just want a good quarterback.
Right.
I don't know.
Fits the city.
I know I got that when he said that. I'm like, are you saying you're actively pursuing just a black quarterback because you think they fit the city? Is that what you mean by that?
I mean, I would say this. Some cities have to have a certain, not type of quarterback, type of play. Like you and I have joked about this a little bit with the Raiders, that they either need to be flashy and fast and high scoring, or the old school Raiders of, kind of take your head off a little bit. And it seems like with Antonio Pierce, they're moving into that old school Raiders that I think Vegas will fall in love with, right? Maybe he's just saying they need something that's actually going to light a spark under that crowd because they haven't had that in a while. Like, no offense, Taylor Heineke, you're not exactly the most exciting quarterback in the world. You're
a cult hero here.
You're kind of smart. You'll fight your guts out, but like people aren't exactly clamoring for you in another city. So maybe he's just getting at. They need him.
Taylor Heineke's an outstanding backup quarterback.
Of course, yeah. I think what he's getting at is that they just need something a little more punchy. I think that's the word I'll use there. Punchy.
Okay. More on the field stuff. And here's the part where I've kind of landed on this too. And I think it's important because there was a lot of smoke about this. Mm-hmm. We haven't heard from Caleb Williams yet.
That's right. Yep. Right.
Can he confirm or deny that he would be willing to go anywhere with the number one overall pick, including Chicago? Because I think we need to just get that out of the way.
Right.
That if he is just willing to happily be the number one overall pick, regardless of who has that pick, and that is likely the Bears at this point, well, then problem solved. But if he is just more inclined to go somewhere else, wherever that would be, well, that needs to kind of get out. And I think then we can have the discussion of what's going to happen next. But then the Bears are going to have to reveal that.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Because their fans and their people need to be told that Caleb Williams doesn't want to play for you. And therefore why we're doing what we're doing.
Yes.
Because otherwise they can't just trade it and pretend that didn't happen.
Right.
So they need Caleb Williams to kind of, now we're at the point because Poles said today they're not going to let this linger much longer.
Right.
That they want to get a deal done one way or the other, or tell him we're trading the pick and we're keeping you, or we're trading you and we're keeping the pick.
Yeah.
So I think then now that we know that doesn't surprise me. Fields was trying to push the issue last week by doing stuff on social media and doing interviews about it.
Sure.
You know, I surmise that other teams are going to want to know the answer to this before free agency starts. Therefore, this has to be done in the next 2 weeks. But now I think the last part of this is going to be, what does Caleb think? Is he willing to just go there?
Yeah.
And if he is, then we probably have no shot at him. If he at all insinuates for a second he'd rather be somewhere else, then I think we're on the table at number 2.
I mean,
you know, because like they could keep Fields, draft Marvin Harrison, and get picks.
of course. Yeah. Right.
Like they could always do that.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, this is the funny part is, you know, the discourse always has to kind of cycle through. The discourse now, though, is like Marvin Harrison's the best actual player, but quarterbacks are so important in the draft that, you know, they're always going to go 1, 2, 3 now.
Daniels or Williams could be.
Could be, but essentially, though, what everyone's saying is the most slam dunk.
Harrison's a slam dunk. He's going to be a terrific player. I think there's 2 tackles, too, that I think look to me like at this point, which is why I was open to the idea of, you know, if we go to 8, it's not going to be very flashy, but that dude from Notre Dame is going to be, assuming he doesn't get hurt, he's going to be a starting potential Pro Bowl left tackle for 10 years.
That's right.
Like,
right. Exactly.
Don't dismiss that.
Yeah. Right.
Like, that's huge
sure.
when you have something like that.
No.
Anyway, so now we're at the point where we just need, I think we're at the, what's Caleb think? We haven't heard from him.
That's true.
He's been real quiet. Saw Drake May doing interviews.
Right.
I'm sure Jane Daniels going to do them soon because he needs to start, you know, now that Drake May's doing it, you know, everybody's with Jane Daniels wants him to be the second overall pick. So his camp is going to be like, okay, we need you to talk to X, Y, or Z, whoever that may be. We want to get you out there. Caleb's been real quiet. He doesn't need to say anything because he's the presumptive number 1 pick to somebody. So he doesn't need to say anything.
Yeah.
But at some point, rubber's going to meet the road. And if the Bears do decide to keep Fields, it is going to be because he told them he doesn't want to play there. And that's going to have to get out because there's going to be a significant portion of that fan base that goes, I can't believe you did this. And they're going to have to tell them, look, he communicated to us that he did not want to be our quarterback. So we had to do what was in the best interest of our team. And we felt like keeping Justin Fields was the right thing to do in trading the pick.
At that point, though, you would actually need Caleb to then approve whatever the team trading up
Correct.
would be, though. Which
Correct.
does complicate things a little bit.
Yeah, and who knows? Come on. We hired Kingsbury. It's so on the nose.
He's going,
would we hire him if he hated him?
well, right.
Like, it doesn't mean we're going to get him.
Yeah.
But you don't hire the guy that this dude hates. Like,
Right.
come on. Like, that's not possible.
He could also come out and say, I only want to play for Washington, which at that point.
Then it's, but then if he does that, then the Bears go, here's the price.
Right.
And then we have to negotiate with them, but we're in no negotiating position because we want them. And then we can't take anybody else because we want them too. You know, like we want to date you. You know, like what are we supposed to do?
Arranged marriage.
It's an arranged marriage.
Off.
Then it's an arranged marriage. But we're only, you're only moving down to number 2, guys. Like, how much do we have to give you? And it's going to be next year's
Are you
first round
becoming
pick.
a doctor
Promise you.
or not?
We're going to have to give them 2 extra picks just to do it.
Yep, just to move on.
And because he said he doesn't want to play there.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
He's going to tell him he doesn't want to play there. He wants to play here, and we still have to pay a premium to do it. And they're going to get maybe a Hall of Fame receiver out of the whole thing.
Full Chicago in full Chicago fashion. It's the Blues Brothers. You're women. How much for your women?
Yes, we are on. Yeah, we are on. Yeah, we are on full Caleb watch now. He needs to state how he feels about things.
Right.
If he says I'm willing to play for the Bears, then this is probably a done deal. He hasn't said anything yet.
That's right. Well, it's only a matter of time with him too. Like we've heard stuff from him throughout the last year or so. We've also heard from his dad over the last year or so a couple of times. It's only a matter of time before we actually.
He's got to say something.
Yeah.
Before Justin Fields is traded.
That's right. Yes.
Because if they trade him,
they trade him, and
presumably
then
they're picking him. So
him.
then if he says, I don't want to be there,
That'd be the funniest Bears thing in the world.
I mean, well, then they got to go, well, we like Jaden Daniels.
That's right. Yeah,
and
exactly.
then try to force a trade with us. But at that point, we're like, no, playa.
Have fun with that.
Take your guy. We're not giving you nothing.
You want Sam?
Yeah. You want
Sam to move up?
Sam.
Take him or leave him.
Yeah. You want it or not? We'll give you him. Cornelius Lucas. Okay. Let's see. What else going on? The Giants are open to quarterbacks.
Of course they are. Of course they have to be.
God, I called this the day they did it. I go, you cannot give Daniel Jones that amount of money. It's a mistake. I know you don't have another quarterback, but it's better than giving him $40+ million a year. It's a mistake. How do you not know that? I know that. How do you not know that?
They did.
And they did, because everyone gets scared. Well, what if we don't have another quarterback? Well, why don't you get a rookie who's making $1 million a year? You're better off.
I don't understand how
you can fill out your roster.
I don't understand how some teams haven't learned it's better to not have the contract
Correct.
than to have the quarterback.
Yes. Ask Bradley about it.
Well, that's different.
This is
Bradley could do no
this
wrong.
is key. If you have Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson,
Yeah, studs.
well, then you got to pay them.
That's right.
You have no choice.
Yes.
But if you have Daniel Jones, you don't. You don't have to do it. You could just say, you know what? No, we'll give you $20 million a year. If you don't want that because you can get something more somewhere else, God bless you and good luck. But you're not good enough to warrant a top 10 contract.
It's the Kirk Cousins line.
Yeah.
Are you better than Kirk Cousins? You get paid. If
He's
you're,
not- you're not.
If you're worse than Kirk Cousins, you don't get
You
paid.
don't get paid.
And if you are Kirk Cousins, you sometimes get paid.
You get paid every time. He's the businessman of all businessmen. Do you see the picture he put up on Instagram with him and Grills?
No,
He's got grills on.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's worth seeing.
Hold on. There are a few things that stop me in my tracks.
Let's see. The Giants also said they do want Saquon Barkley back.
Of course,
but they are not. But they are not going to franchise him. And I guess we'll just see what happens.
Right.
So we'll see
Who's
what
shocked
happens.
about that? I mean,
Sounds about right.
yeah.
Let's see. A couple of premier names that got cut. You see it? It's amazing. Thumbs up Grills. I like him more and more and more. The older he gets, I like him more. I'd vote for him. Senator Cousins, I would vote for him. I have a feeling
he'd be the most ridiculous picture I've ever seen of him.
I have a feeling push comes to shove, though. He'd be behind some of the policies I don't like these days, but I do like him. I do like him. He could be the president of the United States one day, Kirk Cousins.
I think we know what side of the aisle he's on.
Oh, I can tell you what side he is. Let's see. Shaq Barrett out
Yep.
in Tampa. We need stuff like that.
I think you should be interested in every linebacker that's a name. So, yep.
Another one, Laken Tomlinson out with the Jets. He was making a ton of money.
Yep.
He was a premier pickup guard. Again.
All the Jets fans, did you see, the talk on him?
No.
Durable as hell. Sucks, though. That's pretty much what all the Jets fans were saying.
Well, because all the other ones got hurt.
Right. Exactly.
You know, they have I saw today, now that they let him go, and 3 of the other players there are all not under contract. They have 2 players on their offensive line entirely that have played 20 games or more under contract. And one of them is Wes Schweitzer, who's a backup at best, who isn't here because he had a serious concussion and they were concerned about him.
Right.
I'm glad he's still playing and he's fine, but they were very worried about him, which is why they let him walk. So they really actually have one starting caliber player on the whole. So you think we got it bad. They got it bad. Sam's like, don't trade me to the Jets. I already did that. I did that.
Rodgers is like, I guess I got to be mobile now.
Yeah. But I hope that Achilles is feeling good.
Hopefully that doesn't pop again.
Yeah, hope that balm worked out for you, wherever you got it from. Found it under some magical rock in Peru.
He's going to have ayahuasca bomb.
He's got 8 Achilles in his leg now. You just don't know
That's right.
about it.
Yeah. He's got a backup.
Yeah, he's got a backup down there. From the Ravens, they were non-committal about OBJ.
That sounds right.
We'll see.
Yeah, that sounds right.
In fact, Eric DeCosta described it as, I've become very good friends with him. And then they were like, well, you going to re-sign him? And he goes, well, we'll see about that. What a weird thing to say. I'm very close with him, and I like him a lot, but I don't know if I'm going to give him another contract, which I wouldn't. If I'm them, I don't know what their cap situation is, but there's some pretty good receivers that are available right now.
On Flowers.
Because Mike Evans is going to end up on a good team. Like, Kansas City ought to just do it. That's what I think. Just go do it.
With them, too, though, Flowers emerged as the guy last year, too.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, right away, which is rare for them.
Aguilar turned out to be good for them.
Yes, they re-signed him, too, already.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the writing's been on the wall that they're going to just add a complimentary piece, whether through the draft or maybe that second-tier receiver.
I called Flowers going to the draft. I told you that guy's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare for them, too, that it pops off in the first year like that. They've had solid first-round wide receivers, not the guy types, though,
He's got the
Flowers.
profile.
I also think, by the way, we've both been all over this for years, though. When Mark Andrews was out, Isaiah Likely thrived. He finally got his chance. I think they're looking at that going, we're going to give that guy some more playing time down the stretch, too. So.
Mark Andrews will not get another contract beyond this. And not that he's not a great player, but, like, this is growing on trees now. You know, they did the same thing. Isaiah Likely was one of 2 tight ends that they picked in the middle rounds.
Yep.
And these guys are easy to find in the draft now. There's a lot of them out there.
Right.
Luke Musgrave came out, second or third round last year. Laporta had a great rookie season.
Yep.
The Cowboys picked 2 of them, Ferguson and Pendergast.
That's right.
And they didn't miss Dalton Schultz for a second.
Yeah.
So I think that you could bet on considering we have high second round picks and our third round pick, I bet the Commanders use that on a receiving tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, we need it.
For sure.
One of those picks probably goes that way. From the Ravens also, Justin Madubuike, who's very good. They said they're trying to get a deal done. If they don't, they're going to tag him. So they've admitted now he's not going anywhere. So he's staying there. Let's see. And then there's this other thing that I kind of cannot believe is actually happening. But there's a lot of heat on the Vikings are going to trade Justin Jefferson. A lot. And that one, I'm kind of like, Kansas City must do that.
Well, we got to pay him, too, though. I mean, okay, I'm saying, I don't know what their cap situation looks like.
I mean, he is a top 5 receiver. He is young. He, with a great quarterback, could probably break records.
I have the perfect trade scenario.
What's that?
Trade him to Buffalo.
For Diggs?
Yeah. And they just become the pipeline for
That'd be
Buffalo
amazing.
getting #1 wide receiver.
For Diggs. They should do it for Diggs.
No. You don't trade Diggs, and then you have to cut Diggs because Diggs posts on Instagram about wanting to be a Commander again, because that happens every offseason at some point.
I'm going with it's only 20%, but I think it's 20% they would let him go.
Diggs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think now that Gabe Davis is clearly not going back there because they've done nothing to limit him or try to keep him, that I don't know how they would let him go because they wouldn't have a primary receiver, but he was less and less and less a role for that team a year ago. He's getting a little bit older now. I don't know. I think it's about 20-25% that they walk from him.
Not
But
only that,
I just don't think that they have a good enough replacement. And because of that, I don't know how they would walk away from him. And they probably get through one more year. But he also was so weird last year with them.
The OTA thing where he was there
walked
and
out,
then wasn't there. And then
they lied about
McDermott,
it.
had to apologize because he's like, I shouldn't have said that. And everybody's like, why shouldn't you have said what you said?
Yeah, what did you say? Was it about Al-Qaeda? Like, what did you say to him?
No, that came out later.
Yeah,
already said
that
it.
was a different thing.
That was 5 years ago, but then it came out 6 months later.
Yeah.
No, remember it was also like Diggs didn't realize the new wide receivers coach was someone he hated. So then when he showed up and they were like, this has been final for
months. Yeah.
You didn't know who your coach was?
Which was, guess you haven't been in the building in a while. Where you been?
That guy.
I think it's like 25%, but because they didn't, I don't know how they let Davis and him go.
No, you can't. Well, they could draft a wide receiver in the first round. I mean,
they could.
Whoever's there
In fact,
first.
that's possibility.
Probably what they're going to do, right?
Diggs will hate him.
Yeah,
hate him.
F you.
Yeah, I hate you. Hey, man, how do you have a good career? I'm not telling you. I hate you.
They could trade him. He's got 3 years left on his deal after this season, but it's the potential out this year. It's a $22 million dead cap hit this year.
If they did it this year?
Or sorry, if they did it after this year.
So they got one more year then.
Yeah, right, exactly. So you could actually just let it play out and then just take the cap
One
hit.
more year. See, that's what I'm saying. I think it's like 25% they would do it. I don't think they would, but like I think if they could, they probably would.
His money isn't a lot, though.
So they're going to have to they're going to be in the market for a new receiver.
He's only making.
They probably will use a high pick on a receiver then.
I would think so. He's only making 18.5 this year, then 18 next, 19 the year after, 14 the final of the year.
Well, now that you put it that way, that's actually way lower than what the premium rate is. So, like, it makes him extremely tradable, and it makes him also extremely affordable in this day and age.
I already know what's going to happen. He's going to bitch about his salary, and they're going to like, bye, see ya.
Probably.
I think that's what's going to happen next offseason.
Probably
what's going to happen.
Maybe now.
The
cap just went up,
yeah,
and he's 10 to 15 million behind some of these other receivers, and they're going to go, your numbers weren't that good last year, buddy.
Over under when we see him post the picture of him in a Washington helmet.
Well, that's not happening now, I don't think.
No, but he always posts it, though.
He does.
He always posts about going home.
The Justin Jefferson, though. I'm sorry, Minnesota. You can't.
I don't understand that one.
There's a lot of heat about it now. Like, there's a lot of people writing about it now. Like, I don't know what they're doing up there. They're one of those, I watch what they're doing, and they're going to let Kirk walk.
Yep.
There was a report that they'd be interested in Garoppolo, and I'm like, what? That's your answer?
Did you watch that guy?
That your answer is to go from Kirk to him?
Dude took performance-enhancing drugs and was worse.
They just got rid of Dalvin Cook. They're not better at that position. They're worse, way worse. Their offensive line is average at best. Jefferson's amazing. They used a first-round pick on a receiver anyway, right?
Right.
Now Jefferson's complaining. Their defense has been bad. What are they doing?
Good question.
What are they doing? I don't know what they're doing. So if they trade Jefferson, if I'm their fan base, I'd be pissed
it's your boy O'Connell.
No, I actually think he's a pretty good coach because he's kept them competitive, and they don't have a very good roster right now.
Right.
I mean, they were kind of in it with all Dobbs won games for them.
Yeah, right.
So they're not very good, but they hang in there anyway, which tells me the coaching's pretty good, but they're getting failed by that front office. I don't know what that guy's doing. And if they trade Justin Jefferson, it better be for something astronomical. Otherwise, why?
I would say that maybe because
that guy might be the best receiver in the NFL. Why?
The only thing I could use that argument is that because they don't have an actual franchise quarterback, you're basically trading Jefferson.
Well, they do. They just don't want to re-sign him.
Well, and
they've been trying not to for a couple years
now.
Yeah,
but rightfully so this offseason. He's over 30 years old and has an Achilles injury. You don't know if he's going to come back okay after that. I actually kind of understand that one.
They'd probably get 2 first-round picks for him.
Well, what if
I don't know. You have to pay him the largest receiver contract in the history of the NFL.
Correct.
So what are you going to get for him? A first-round pick? Probably. He's worth it.
Probably getting a first and a
third?
I think at most probably 2 firsts, but maybe a first and a second.
I would be surprised if it's 2 firsts because you got to pay him that number. Like, he hasn't signed the contract yet. So you got to give that up and pay him this number. That's a big ask.
Right.
Then I'm just like, why would you trade him? You're not going to – this is like the A.J. Brown thing. You're not going to do any better than him.
Yeah, but
nobody's better than him. Well, like, what are you thinking?
But think about the one. I'm not arguing for this, but I am saying look at what would happen. They would trade him for, let's say, a first and a second round pick, right? Then they would suck. They'd probably get a high enough draft pick to get another quarterback or take a shot on a quarterback. You are hitting the reset button, but you're doing it with assets in hand.
Yes, you are, but you're hitting the reset button in the middle of blowing up a good team.
Are they a good team?
So I think they had a way better roster a year or two ago than they do now.
Right.
These are decisions they've made, though. So, like, they're trending the wrong way, and now they're going to get rid of their best player to get assets. Do you trust the people who are going to use those assets considering what they've done to this point, which is where I'll go back to. I don't know what they're doing.
It's interesting and important.
It's interesting and important is what it is. All right, we'll be right back. Bram Show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital.